Hello, everyone. My name is Nati Cohen, and I'm a proud co-organizer of DevOpsDays Tel Aviv. For the past year, I've been working as a production engineer for SimilarWeb. And for those of you who don't know SimilarWeb, it's a market intelligence company, meaning that we can show you data about every mobile app out there, like the number of users, the number of installs. We can show you data about every website, the number of visits, where the visits are coming from, and we can do that globally. SimilarWeb is a pretty cool company, and unlike myself, the production engineering team has some really great people, and we'd love for you to join us. However, the story I'm going to share with you today starts a year before I joined SimilarWeb. And so, to begin with my story, I'll need to tell you a little bit about myself circa 2014. This is kind of me. I was actively refraining from asking questions, specifically technical questions, because I thought they are stupid questions, and I didn't want people to think that I'm stupid. To give you an example, many times I'd find myself reverse engineering a system written in a language I'm not really familiar with, in frameworks I don't necessarily know, and I would do that for days just to avoid asking someone who is sitting in the same room as I am, or open a chat window. So nothing of that sort. We'll have to talk about breaking silos at DevOps Days, right? However, back then, I loved my silo. I felt safe inside my silo. I knew everything there was to know, like at least better than the other people in the other silos. And like working with other silos was terrifying for me because I didn't really know what they were doing, and I couldn't ask them stupid questions, right? Because they think I'm stupid. And so we all know what happens when you stay in your own silo. Finally, I was keeping my distance from stages, and I had some really good reasons. I didn't think I have anything new to say. I'm not an expert on anything, actually. And as you probably already seen, I have terrible English. So this was my comfort zone in 2014. But then I came across something that really changed everything. And this thing was motivational posters. You've probably seen them in very successful startups. You've seen them in large organizations. And if they have them on the walls, they must work. And so all you have to do, so I've been told, is imagine yourself standing on the peak of that mountain and base jumping down, and then bam, you're not afraid anymore, and you can do all the things that you were afraid to do. Well, the end. Thank you. Of course, not really, right? Motivational posters don't work. As well as getting from some random guy at your company a sentence like, "You can do it," right? Both of these will not get you through any terrifying, inconvenient, or hard task. To do that, you will need proper motivation, not motivational posters. So let's talk a little bit about motivation. And so different people get motivation differently. In my experience, in our field of work, long-term motivation is usually coming from setting some goals. For some people, those goals would be, I want to work for Facebook, or I want to work for Google. For some people, it will be, I want to stay hireable at 40. My motivation came from setting a career goal that I want to be someday, I still want, to be in a key technical position. I looked at my role models, people like Brian Cantrell and Adrian Cockcroft, and what I noticed was all those people have really good communication skills, and that makes sense. They are influencing people for a living. So therefore, I needed to develop good communication skills. So now that you got your goal and you got your motivation, the next step would be is to make a list. You want to make a list of all the actions that you can take that can take you one step further to your goal, right? And you want to categorize that list. There are 3 types of actions. The first type is easy actions. These are actions that you are feeling comfortable with taking. The second type of actions are the terrifying actions. And the third one is actions that you don't want to take. It's easy to confuse the last 2 because, of course, you don't want to take actions which terrifies you, right? But try to think about terrifying actions as actions that you are willing to take if they weren't terrifying. You can see why it will work. And so for me, example for an easy action would be to read a book or to read a blog post or to see a video on YouTube. A terrifying action would be to do some public speaking. And a action I don't want to do is join, for example, an improv class, which is great for other people and not for me. So what if you can get to your goal by only doing easy tasks? Then the answer is easy. Do it, right? Get off your ass and just do it already. You can do it right now. You don't really need this talk, right? But what if you need to pick things off the terrifying list? In that case, I would like to share with you the methodology I've been using for the past 2 years. So it's easy. It's only 5 steps. You need to find support, take the first step, follow through, get feedback, and repeat. Let's go a little bit into that. Find support. Let's start with what this support will do. This support will help you find opportunities to do terrifying things. He or she will help you, for example, write your CFP submission, and he or she will help you follow through and get some honest feedback at the end. It can be anyone you trust. It can be your friend, your spouse, your team member, your team leader, or a mentor. My example was my mentor and a friend. We went together to DevOpsDays Ljubljana a couple of years ago, and they had an opening for an Ignite. And he told me, here's an opportunity. You should go ahead and speak. Do a 5-minute Ignite. And then I told him, you know, this is terrifying me. I don't want these people to think I'm stupid. And he said, well, we're in Ljubljana. This is Slovenia. Do you really think you're going to see any of those people again, or they're going to affect your career path? And I did see them again, actually, but at the time it was reasonable, and I'm a reasonable guy. And I told him, okay, but I'm not an expert and I don't have anything to talk about. And he said, okay, so tell a story. Tell them about something you did. And for example, tell them about like the first Hadoop cluster you've managed. And so I did, and it went okay-ish. It's on video, I'm sorry. The next step is to actively take just the first step toward that terrifying action. And this example might be just setting a date or writing an outline for your presentation. something that will take you not a lot of time. And this correlates nicely with a blog post my wife sent me recently about the 2-minute rule. For those of you who don't know, the 2-minute rule states that if you want to take some hard or inconvenient action, then all you have to do is try to consistently do the first 2 minutes of that action. For example, if you want to start running, then when you get home from work, put on your running shoes and exit the door. That's it, 2 minutes. And if you do that enough time, you will start running. And if you don't do the first step actively, then forever this terrifying action will find its way to the bottom of your to-do list. And you all probably know that already. Finally, you will have to follow through. You took the first step, and there will probably be some more steps along the way, but each step is kind of small. Like submitting a CFP is a small step. After submitting every CFP submission I've done, I thought to myself, oh my God, what have I done? What if they'll choose me? But you probably will find yourself at the opportunity, so you're already there. It won't be perfect. Do it. After doing a terrible thing, you'll have to do 2 more actions. The first one is get feedback. 2 things you need to know about good feedback. A good feedback is diverse, meaning you should go and ask feedback from people who are similar to you, and you should go ask feedback from people who are completely different from you. The second thing is that a good feedback is sincere. If all the feedback you get is, it was great, then you probably need more opinions. There's another trick that you need to get is how to take feedback. And you need to respect the person giving you feedback, and knowing that we are in Israel, don't ever argue with the person giving you feedback, even if you don't like it. Take notes and assess that feedback slowly. If you don't like the feedback you hear, then go and sleep on it for a day or 2. It might sink in, you might reject it, but you gave it time. Finally, you will need to repeat that scary action again. The good news is you got feedback, and it got a little bit easier. To be honest, 2 years into the process, and I'm still terrified before each and every single talk. But we're 18 slides in, so I'm not going to stop now. I wish I could tell you that if you follow this methodology, everything is going to be awesome. But there are some pitfalls, and I think you should know them, and I'll try to give you some solutions. The first pitfall would be people. And so you need to remember that not everybody is on your team, and that's okay. Some people will try to tell you that the action you're taking or your goal are not good. And some people will try to tell you that will try to discourage you from actually doing the thing. You should listen to them with a grain of salt and try to surround yourself with people rooting for your success. The second pitfall might be your employer. Your employer might not be on board. For example, he or she might tell you that it's okay that you would go and talk about the things that you do at our company, but we won't support you, right? In this case, you should ask yourself if you can do this on your private time and private resources. The second type of employer will actively resist, either because they don't agree with the action you're taking or they don't agree with your goals. For example, they might tell you that you're not allowed to publicly speak while working for this company, not on the thing you work on, and not on maybe things related to your work. And so several solutions can be done here. can be applied. You can take another action that circumvents your employer. Remember, you have a list now. And if you don't have any other action that you can take, you can try and join a secondary environment, meaning you can join an open source project, or you can go to a hackathon. And if all this doesn't work, and while working for this specific employer, you are not allowed to improve yourself and chase goals, then maybe it's time to find another workplace. And I would like to play a little game. I learned this game at DevOpsDays Amsterdam. It goes like this. Please raise your hand if you are hiring good dev or ops engineer that's willing to work on their terrifying things. Okay, now look to your right, look to your left, find a new employer. The final pitfall is surprising. It's yourself. You might find your brain working against you. And there are really great books and great blog posts and great talks on YouTube discussing how to overcome our natural resistance for change, how to handle stress, and my personal favorite, how to live with an acute imposter syndrome. I've added some links at the end of the presentation, but they are strictly just the beginning. So to recap, find your motivation, set yourself goals, follow the steps, and know the pitfalls. And eventually, you will profit, or at least it worked for me. I'm now a production engineer at SimilarWeb, but also an R&D evangelist. I encourage and mentor speakers inside SimilarWeb. I'm a teaching assistant at the IDC, and this is my 5th conference talk this year. I'd love to hear more about your goals and your terrifying things that you want to take, and come find me after the talk or on the tweets. Thank you.